up, everybody? I know you're like, well, you're a fucking tech retard. I am. Definitely not my specialty here at all. Sorry I'm late. You know, per usual, but I well, I am pretty busy. Oh, that's a lot of light. Let me see if I can get the lights look better and all that stuff. And let me turn this off. Okay, let's see. What's that? Okay. I don't know if that will work out any better. Because, seriously. But, just like that. I think it's anyway, I don't know. I could just kind of, you know, go off stuff here. I don't know. I'm really terrible. So it seems like when I move the camera, I just keep getting like worse and worse. So. Bill, what's up? I've been pretty good. How about you? Feels good to have time for this. Definitely. And just having some coffee, tarot cards, a little bit of time to myself. Yeah. So anyway, you know, yeah, it's just been a while. I think I'm like, 30 minutes late, but you know, heck, I tried. I know I've been later before, so I have a lot more time for the channel in general. So sorry for the terrible webcam, setup, and I just try and, I'm like obviously casual amateur as possible, so it's the best way to describe it. But yeah, just slowly getting everybody into routines, and then going to be having time for this in general. I filmed a couple videos, I just haven't uploaded them yet. So really like the Tom Cruise movie. Now hold on. Let me think about what the name of this was. I don't remember. It's with Tom Cruise and I think Nicole Kidman, right? But yeah, Stanley Kubrick, directed it. But it was really great. It was just one of those sort of, I would kind of say like a psychological thriller in a sort of way where it's like, very symbolic and cryptic. And I really like, psychological thrillers. Like if I'm browsing, movie sections, then basically, yeah. I'll go for that, or 80s horror movies, Tim Burton kind of stuff. So, yeah, hopefully you guys can hear me all right. And I don't know, maybe I'll put like blankets over some of my shit in the background next time, I think. I don't really, the lighting looks a lot better. I have like little overhead lamps, and it looked a lot better when I shut that shit off. And then, just, assorted personal stuff. So, but yeah. It's just good to be able to have time for the channel. I'll be uploading. I already shot 2 or 3 videos, so I'm gonna upload those in the coming days. And whatever, maybe like another month, I'd like to start taking you guys to cemeteries for sure. I'm kind of at that point where I'm waiting to see if other people are down to go. I have like some occult friends and other friends. I actually know one person who's a contributor to Find a Grave. If you ever, if you're into cemeteries, then you probably know what that is. And it's actually a really good deal where we'll talk about the plot number and the details of a headstone and include photographs. So these are volunteers who go out and, they photograph this information. And then, families who are not in that place can still, find comfort in a memorial. So yeah, I have one friend who does that. We'll see, it'll be like, it is better, I would say, to go in groups. No, I'm not going at night for that. I will do ritual stuff at night, but not just straight up going through a cemetery. Lots of different reasons, safety, right? But I also am more about like, I really like the history, and I would like for you guys to see the tombs. I'd, basically like to, tell some stories about some of the people in each place. Because I'm a storyteller, that's what I do. So, to Batman films. Well, let's see. So I've seen the one with Heath Ledger, so The Dark Knight, and then um, what other one was there? There was one that came out around 2012 in movie theaters, like it's actual movie. It was really, I remember it being really good, but now I just don't remember the, exact actors and stuff. I just remember really liking it and eating a bunch of snacks, so that was a good time. But yeah, I do like archetypes and that kind of stuff. Um, I largely like nonfiction, but there are exceptions like Lord of the Rings and 80s kinds of movies, and I think I grow into that more as I guess as I age. It's just kind of fun to turn on movies, but Tim Burton. I think it's like comforting to watch classics. I was rewatching Courage the Cowardly Dog not too long ago. So I think there was 4 seasons because that was on Cartoon Network in the early 2000s, and that was like it's like a nostalgia thing for me. So yeah, I really like that with Eustace and Courage and Muriel. That whole setup is like I'll never watch that enough times and be like, fuck that, I'm tired of it. You know, I just have those, So I guess if it's like really hard nostalgia, then yeah, I'm all about it. But it is fun, and just obscure films and whatever. You just never really know until you watch it. Okay, let's see. I was recently, so my husband and I, we've seen the show Good Omens. I think it might be an Amazon Prime type of a show, but so there's just like a season 2. It came out probably like at the beginning of the pandemic. It's really good. It's like a demon and an angel they're always having these conversations about mankind, and there's parts where they're really good. The two actors who do, like the demon and the angel, they really have that good chemistry. The rest of the fucking people in the story really make me fall asleep, like asleep. So it's still really good. Strange Angel is really good. That's about Jack. It's a show based off Jack Parsons. I think it came out several years ago, maybe 7. And there's like 2 seasons, so it's Jack Parsons. He gets into in real life. He really gets into Thelema, and he gets to personally know Aleister Crowley, and so it is a show based off of that. But man, is it a slow burner? But I really love the outfits and the atmosphere, and that kind of idea. But I mean, I'm like, you can even be 5 episodes in, and like for an occult show, it's not very exciting. I'll put it that way. But there's just some kinds of shows that you just really love the atmosphere. Um, Oh yes, Courage. The Courage Scary as a kid. You know what? As far as that goes, I just think that some of the the adult lines they put in the show, it just kind of would go over my head, and I wouldn't question it. Rather than it just scared me, like I didn't pay attention to it. Um, because like that's just how I feel about cartoons, I guess. But I used to watch Are You Afraid of the Dark as a kid. That was on Nickelodeon, and that one I believe that came out in like the early to mid '90s. And so I probably started watching that in the mid '90s. Not super right away, but man, and I could tell a good ghost story too. I was the bitch at the sleepovers who was like, "Hey guys, did you hear somebody whispering?" Sometimes I'd be like that, or just, but more general, I would, you know, you pick like a theme, like the Vanishing Hitchhiker. I would just come up with like a version of it, and kind of I don't know, tailor it, individualize it, and then retell it. And everybody, by the end of it, everybody would be really quiet. So I knew I did a good job telling the story. That's a lot of fun. But then I'd be like, oh shit, now I can't go to sleep, right? So then it'd be time, even back in the night, time to wander the house and look for junk food. And hopefully I'll forget all about, scary stuff because we're all together, it's a sleepover. But yeah, I mean, really good times. That's a lot of fun. Nostalgia. Just, somebody I told a really good story, and somebody tried to hide under the covers and jump out at me as I came back from the bathroom, and I'm really jumpity like that in a way. Probably not as much, but as a kid, I was scared the fuck out of me, and I was like, just screamed middle of the night. Parents wake up, you kids, need to keep it down out there. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. I know, man. I know. Well, maybe not too many people will stop by because I changed up the day. If there's a day or time or month that works for you guys, then let me know. I can definitely answer emails a lot faster, and that kind of stuff. I would say within a couple days. I could change stuff or suggest topics. I don't really go ahead. um, oh, the ring. Okay, fuck. Let me go ahead and guess about that one. Now I did see that. That was the one with the girl with the well. Actually, yeah, comes out of the well. So I saw that and I thought, kind of whatever. I mean, I thought it was good. I mean, it was a good night. It was a good pizza night. But later, my sister's friend did that whole gimmick, the whole for Halloween, and there was the whole property had a actual well that had been filled in, and then they had like boarded it up really well. I mean, it's like layers and layers of wood. I mean, you could still feel the wood softening, like kind of rotting away and giving in, I would say, but it wasn't like dangerous at that point. So that was probably like one of the last few times somebody went in there or stood on top of it and jump out at trick or treaters. Um, they had to go through this gate in the sort of rural area, not totally rural, but spaced out houses. That was great. I mean, people were wanting, will you sign my Halloween, bag, or people just scream bloody murder and stuff. It was great. Um, yeah, the police even came by and were like, and it just basically asked if everything was okay because they had a complaint. I'm guessing that somebody got a little scared and upset, but I mean, it's kind of like what trick or I mean, if you go trick or treating, at least like in America or something, you understand it. You kind of should know that somebody might jump out and try. It's Halloween, right? Loki kind of vibes, prankster. But yeah, I don't know. Sounds like you're maybe around around the same age as me, or at least roughly. I Um, I would say, probably like anything like 2005 and maybe and prior to that would be, I would consider my childhood. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I'm 36, so don't remember the 80s. We could say that for sure. But and then of course, like when you start to have memories, um, I really wasn't super focused on TV. Just more like those first years of school when you really do have more of that subjective linear memory, I would say, form. And that's kind of books. The internet was dial up and cool. Okay, that's great. I'm sure that I'm like an old fogey or something like that. But it's definitely being in your 30s is interesting because um, you're not old, right? You're not middle aged. It's not like that, but you're not like 20 or even I think that anybody under 25 is like a different mindset because it's like that's just such a still like a kid, but you're like, okay, now you're in your 30s for a while, so it's just kind of somewhere stuck between old and young, and that's just kind of it is that really a time of just being a straight up adult and not so much older, like between my body in my 20s and now. um I probably actually feel a lot better now than when I was in my 20s. I mean, I was an alcoholic and I just did not take very good care of myself. But now, I mean, even the things I do that I definitely can go for a lot of improvements, especially like just slowly incorporate things as I go along. But with practicing grounding and drinking lemon water and apple cider vinegar, it really has helped me a lot to just make these things become habit. So I mean, unlike most people, I feel better in my 30s, like physically. Get better sleep most time and everything like that. But I would say that probably has to do with lifestyle. So instead of making like worse choices as you age. Yeah, well, I feel like I am in my prime in the sense that it is it's the adult time of life to really set down a foundation and really come into oneself in that in a sort of a confidence and almost a little bit of a softening, I would say, that um, realizing that there's so many different perspectives. I think when people are super young, you think that it's kind of a lot harder to think outside of yourself. So I would say I'm a lot more tolerant. But like back when I was probably like 24, I mean, 22, 24 and stuff, I would, I knew what I thought about, like, let's say philosophy, religion. I had very strong like viewpoints. I still do have, like when there's subjects, I pick something and I, you know, have something that I think and say about it. However, I don't push it down people's throats anymore. Like, when I was young, I'd be ready to like have a debate, a fight, and I did, just fucking have a fight with somebody. And I'm not like that anymore at all. Like, so I think that's just kind of a softening a little bit. I don't know if that probably would be most people's experience, as they age, unless you're just so tired and by the time like you're 35, you're like, just at a dead end job and really struggling. Of course, you wouldn't feel like such a softening way of having a better perspective like that. Being an activist and hello, yeah, I mean, definitely. mean, it depends on the subject and the activism, but I definitely hope to achieve things like that through my channel this way, like maybe to bring, you know, awareness to, let's just, I guess an example could be like, it's not really a strong opinion, just more something I care about. As we go to cemeteries, there's it's an organization, Wreaths Across America. And every year, I believe it is on Veterans Day, they go to different cemeteries, not all of them, but they'll list it, specific whatever cemetery. Like, let's say you're in a major city, you'll have a few of the suburbs will participate in this. And so you purchase a wreath and then you go lay it on a veteran's grave. And people volunteer for this. They go out and they do this. They'll, even maintain the graves and everything. And then at the end, after whatever the wreaths have been laid at that location, then they'll have, basically some music and, moments of silence for veterans. And that means a lot to me. So that's something I'm going to tell people about. I mean, later if I can support that in other ways, I definitely will. But yeah, I mean, it's like one thing to just think about these things as a kid growing up going, boy, that means a lot to me. I resonate with that. I wish I could find a way to help basically. And I definitely want to explore stuff like that. So, heard of Wreath Across America, and, give that a look. My biological grandfather was a very high ranking World War II Army veteran. So yeah, I care a lot, and I also just care about cemeteries in general, history. I still haven't taken the fucking sales tag off my new mug. I don't know, guys. I mean, fuck, it's cool to shoot the shit with you about random stuff. I mean, it really is. It's cool talking to like adults. Got my husband and some good friends. Really, I've actually been better about friends. For a while. By the time I was in my late 20s, stuff, I really didn't give a fuck about friends anymore. I just was like, why, and it just, I don't know. And then I just kind of, I think as I healed from alcoholism, I just was able to kind of heal some of those sort of lonelier, maybe mean aspects of myself. But, now I make the time for friendships. So I would say about 5 really good friends that I like see on a pretty regular basis. It's okay to dip out because in my case, we all have kids and all this stuff and people get sick and things happen, but I'm not just like, hey, I'll see you one time a year, and we'll see you at Christmas and we just text. It's like, let's go out and actually do stuff. I'm tired of, just sitting, like on my ass forever. I just want to actually go out and get out there and start doing stuff. And maybe that comes from, now that my kids they're young children, but they're not babies. So, it's kind of hard to, you can't take babies out, right? But it's kind of hard to go a lot of places with babies. It's even hard to go to a restaurant. We're talking, young kids. So, it's just more comfortable to be at home with that kind of young human. And so I think that my kind of reaction to it was, okay, now it's time for me to go out once in a while. And hey, nothing crazy, just going out to lunch or places and, always looking for coffee shops. I love those coffee where they do like the the fucking foam top on, and they'll make it look like flowers and art. Those are, like my favorite kinds of whatever places. But yeah, it's fun. I never thought like friendship would matter again to me, but I, made time for it. Yeah. I fucking I have this other coffee mug, and I use it to measure out my dog's food. And I was really tired, and so I just threw it away with the old bag. And I grabbed out we have a couple backup mugs for when everybody breaks a couple a year. So I got that out and I washed it, but I just didn't even see the tag really that much on the bottom. So that's how I am. Kind of, I guess it's just an example, but let's see. What is everybody saying? And yeah, I don't know, guys. Maybe I'll get up and stretch my legs or grab another cup of coffee, but we'll definitely do this again. I have, some videos that I have to do. And if you, really want to see a topic, definitely message me. I'm gonna, by the end of this week, I'm gonna do the book list. And that's gonna go, I'm gonna maybe spend 5 minutes talking about Agatha Christie, but it's gonna really be, everything Luciferian. I'm gonna talk about a lot of the books that I've read by blog authors and, Become a Living God, just like individual books, um, and really go from there. Heck, we'll go back to the Middle Ages and stuff. So I really try to make it pretty comprehensive, and I'll also kind of include like a little section where I show off my hardcovers and paperbacks, which are my favorite part. But just to give everybody ideas, and I had the same idea like when I was, starting out, was like, what can I read next? And I think a lot of people are like that. So heck, I mean, if you have something that you suggest, go ahead and let me know. But acceptance or being stuck with everyone on Earth. Yeah, I mean, we're sort of bound. We're bound by a physical reality. We're bound by aging, right? So it's kind of like, you said with age that you're stuck with everyone, and it's. I think that in society in general, as far as American, culture, that aging is bad. It's wrong. It's sick. It's something that is not the way that you want to be. That's the way that it's thought of. But that's the opposite of reality. Reality is you're gonna age, get sick, and die. But it really, you know, so why be afraid? And um, that's kind of the whole idea, is that you hopefully can realize that you can age well and not be in so much pain, and you figure out some ways to question things that take care of your body, whatever better ways that means to you. It does matter. So it doesn't have to be plastic surgery and being ashamed of age. I rarely wear makeup. I don't take a lot of apple cider vinegar bath. So yeah, I just that's my face. It's like, and I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I mean, because I'll turn 40 in a few years, and I'm not gonna be like one of those people who's like, I didn't turn 40, I 38. That's how it is. Like, we're all on this journey, and I'm bound by my age. I'm bound by this body. I'm gonna work with it instead of against it. It's kind of a good way to think of it, I would say. Hiking before, yeah. So I actually been hiking recently. I went with my friend and met up with them, uh, and it was like early morning, because it's not quite as hot as it was a few weeks ago, but it was really hot, and like basically not a couple hours after dawn. And so we went and did like an out and back hike. I think it was like a little bit over 2 miles. So it was really good exercise. And we went, of course, let's go out to eat at a fucking restaurant after we hike. But I mean, still, the exercise is just outstanding for you, and you really feel it, But of course, then you're just like hungry. So that was a lot of fun. But I'm going to do more of that in the fall. So I actually am, I would say I'm an avid hiker. The most I've probably hiked in a day is 8 miles. But like, probably relatively flat. I would say maybe one or two of the miles is sort of like up and then, into the rockier sort of parts of the trail. But, so I've never backpacked, but I definitely love hiking. So I like those, ones where you can do in a few hours or a day. So how about you? I mean, you like hiking? Um, if you like hiking, a couple recommendations just to see what you think of them, because I actually love hearing about what people think. David Politis, he does the Can-Am missing 4-1, missing 411. That's right. My heart goes out to the guy because I mean, his son committed suicide a few years ago, and you could just tell how much it's really affected him. But he's actually, he takes it, and he really does turn it into a lot of good, I would say. So, but his premise is that like people are going missing for supernatural reasons and stuff. But I think that a lot of it is probably more natural, human, normal, um, answers about disappearances and then whatever. But I mean, he gets people, thinking and, putting the names of these people out there. But it is really interesting. I mean, if you just like at night and you like a good mystery, he really, he really can bring that. Or, the Missing Enigma. He does a really good channel on different, basically different scenarios, except he basically will take a case and really bring the logic to it. And he gets reports, police reports. He'll post his transcripts of family and, witness interviews, and really, really interesting. And then the only other guy really comes up off my mind here is Rusty West. And he posts a lot of either like ghosts or trucking stories, because I think he's a trucker, camper, and he'll talk about actually specific people just missing. He'll just say, here's the circumstances. So it's just to get their names out there, but then he separately does the storytelling stuff really, really, really well, like road trips, people who are truckers, everybody who's out at night, hikers, travelers. And that's really that's the lifeblood of storytelling kind of people anyway. To change, activism to change your life. Yeah, I mean, definitely, I understand that, and that's a great perspective. Everything that I would put my time and energy to has already changed my life, and I wish to share that kind of change with others, the information maybe, or to, maybe bring that to me in some way, help it become a part of me and evolve with me. So what's the condensed summary of my religion? So, I'm not really but I would say I'm a Luciferian. Okay, if you just wanted to have a really short, really short explanation, I'm a Luciferian. So basically, I have really been attracted to that for a really long time. I'm very pagan too. I love Wicca, Buddhism, because things like meditation and loving Christ. I'm kind of hippie at heart, but I worship all kinds of different gods. I work with the Goetia. I view Lucifer as the bringer of light, knowledge, and embodying what a loving God who has a relationship with humans would be, as opposed to the Christian God. So that's my view, is that instead of choosing the Christian God, I am choosing Lucifer, this other God who is really about the earth. And that would be my condensed kind of view. But I do, I'm very broad. Like, I have a lot of interests for sure. really, otherwise you could just say pagan, because I do ritual stuff like that. Practice as a pagan offerings. Right, necromancy is a big thing for me, which I'm going to take you guys with for. Yeah. So, well, hiking is a lot of fun. So, definitely you got to start off, small, because it is a sort of endurance idea. So, but, there's actually a lot of hikes that are like super short and stuff. And that's just the best way. If you do that shit like a few times and, you get your muscles used to it, then, you're all set. Be smart about stuff like that. I'm going to be real and say that the rest of my life, I'm never going out to do that kind of stuff again by myself. When I was younger, I used to just go out into the desert or in the wilderness alone, and basically just trip on acid and shroom mushrooms and stuff like that. And even if I wasn't doing that, there's so many things that can go wrong when you're by yourself. And then if you had been with another person, you could have easily gotten help. I realize how stupid that is. So I'm telling you, right? Like, I'm not giving legal advice on my channel for sure. Like, I'm not fucking do that. But, you just, yeah, bring somebody with you. Be smart. Not like what I did. I did smarten up though. So yeah, I never, never go alone, because I became an adult basically. Kind of grew up, whatever. I was a little crazy as in my 20s, I would say. Hello, Studio Noir. Good to be live again. Hey, it is good to be live again. We'll do it every month. I really can't wait to take you guys with to do stuff. It's going to be fun. I do have to plan it. I got to plan it and wait, maybe let's say like a month. And then I can start to go for the morning, because my kids are in school. Both of them for the first time. However, what a fucking day though. One of the reasons that I was a little late is because my kids, built a fort. Like, I'm used to them doing that, but I'm talking like, this was like a fort that had all their fucking shit out of all their toys and the furniture, pillows, and we got through the cleanup, through, because how kids are. But why do I have to, take it apart? So, I was just like, this is going to take us forever to clean this fort up. But you know what? It's moments like that I still take a little sip of appreciation and really enjoy and live for. But yeah. So usually I would be with I'd have my younger kid with me all the time, and we're transitioning to get used to school. It's emotional, but that's what's happening. So, and it's going well, very normal, everything like that. Except now I'm like, well, I can really put time into my channel, because that's a lot of fun. Definitely, I'll keep you guys updated. That's pretty much what I could say about that. Hermit, what's going on? I believe you're probably like my best British friend on YouTube for real, because you've been around a few years at least, and I think you have a lot of the perspectives I do. Like, I'll post an object, let's say, and what kind of energy do you feel off this? And you usually will either say something that's either similar to me, or explain it in a much more eloquent way, things like that. And I really enjoy that. Yeah, definitely. Hey, if I pick up any more antique goodies, then I definitely will be like, what do you think of this? That's a lot of fun. Oh yeah, antique stores. They all have every antique store is very, very different. So that's probably based off of most of it's based off the objects. Some of it is based off, buildings. And then I've been to a couple of places where the location's haunted, and then like some of the objects are too. So having spirits arguing with each other and being tied there for different reasons. So instead of Ghostbusters, I try to be the ghost peacekeeper sometimes. Yeah, that's, fun adventures. Yeah, antique shops, definitely cemeteries. There's lots of ghosts in cemeteries. Um, we kind of maybe have that idea that um, there wouldn't be any ghosts in cemeteries because they would be back at their house being, attached to whoever they love, maybe an object instead. But people are very attached to their bodies. Okay. At least, you know, and a lot of that really, there is, I mean, there's different things that can happen. But when people die, I mean, a lot of times they do end up attending their funerals because it's so much of our bodies are so much a part of us. And then you just cut off from that sensory experience. So yeah, people will try to lay back in their bodies, hang around their bodies. They're, at the cemetery. Well, there's a lot of ghosts at cemeteries. Yeah. Any difference in my practice with the Goetia since I had kids? No, I really don't think that it has anything to do with that. I do very heavy protection magic, and well, I'm very intuitive. So, I've worked with the police for, as a psychic on several occasions. So I do, pretty good, I would say, on that end. I get to kind of talk about some of the, techniques or practices I use. I definitely do the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram. And then I have a deceased man he's always following me. Well, he's always been with me, and he comes with me for these kinds of spiritual endeavors to protect me as his basic form of penance, which he's chosen to do. So, I would say though that I've just gotten better with magic and just more, I don't know, able to tune in and out of that a little bit easier. Like I would say oh man, not really just like the vibe of a ritual. I mean, that probably has to do with it. If doing rituals for years, it is easier to just get in that mindset. So I do the protection measures, and then I just, because that's just more and more years of practicing rituals. I do think that kind of contributes to it getting stronger, but I really haven't noticed anything, super different. Other than, my one kid is maybe a little bit sensitive, but it's never, like a negative kind of direction. I always, do those things, but I simply just think it's just gotten a little bit more easy for me to tune in to messages or even just receive be open to receiving those things just because of all the, the lifestyle changes, like I said, regular practice that just makes it better, like slowly becoming an old witch, get that wisdom. Yeah. Ooh, old furniture, toys. Like I said, passed on happiness. Yeah, we can talk about it. That's a really cool topic. Spiritual stuff, father. Okay. We all think of like you go to an antique shop and you like look at this doll and you're like, I want, this doll is fucking haunted and it's gonna wake up in the middle of the night and move and whatever. But I mean, really, a lot of cool experiences that I've had have been like, you feel attracted to, like, let's say a necklace, and it's just, you just feel calm, and you just have these really happy kinds of thoughts, mentality that works the same way. It's just, I think that the mind is like, notices things that stand out for the wrong reasons or scary reasons, because that's just how we're hardwired as people. Anything that sort of gets the adrenaline kind of going, um, which would be, but if something makes you feel happy and calm, I think it just doesn't really sort of come to the conscious recognition it sort of deserves in that way. But that's the same principle, is that you're just, yes, I'm attracted to this object because it just it reminds me of this. I mean, it's kind of wild, the human mind, right? If you think about it, it's like, let's just say there was some night, right, when you were 20 years old, and you're you got a call that your grandfather you were really, really close to passed away, for example. And you just feel that total grief. And later that night, you go in the kitchen and make a ham sandwich with extra cheese, which is different, right? And it just makes you feel comforted. It just, that act of engaging digestion just, grounds you. So for, the rest of your life, you're just gonna, when you feel a little bit stressed out, and you need that comfort, you'll add that extra piece of cheese. And for some people, that never comes to that conscious realization that it is what it is, and it doesn't have to. It just exists as that mechanism that's like, that extra piece of cheese does so much for your whole outlook and situation. And in this case, it's an adaptive, a very healthy coping mechanism, and not even consciously recognized. But I mean, I believe we're like that as people, so it's just kind of it's really cool. You guys are a lot of fun to talk to. Don Talion. Well, okay, so yeah, I love Duke Don Talion. Because I love psychology. Okay, so I would say brush up on psychology if it's not. I mean, if that's not something you've already done. If it is, then really, I don't know, get creative, because that's definitely my experience with Duke D'Ontalion. I had that experience of, I thought it was, I saw my reflection, but my face didn't turn in the mirror. And that was when I was doing, I was doing invocations. And I think it was like day 3 of rituals for Duke D'Ontalion. And it wasn't scary, but it was there. It was there to just, make me question my perception. Um, and that was, so it was just very, very powerful. But yeah, you in that sense, I definitely encourage people to try to, look into what they want to, are seeking in that way. I mean, it's your job as a practitioner to take a deep dive into psychology. And psychology is very, interesting rabbit hole that you could probably call off work for a week and eat takeout and still, you just be captivated if you really go deep into, various subjects. And so, I mean, and that's kind of the idea. President Marvis, Duke D'Ontalion, they have their specialties that they're really fascinated, like a autistic savant in a way. Not exactly, because to me, they exist more like gods that are more multifaceted, I would say. But they have that area that they're really interested in. So they're like gods, they're very interested in humans. So President Marvis is interested in health, every aspect, decomposition, what makes that die, and it's just endless questions about that. But it's to understand, that health. And yeah, I don't know. It's just you got to sort of help them along by becoming that. So yeah. Carl Jung. Hey, even good old Sigmund Freud, if you spend a while reading about him, you'll find some fascinating stuff. He met Salvador Dali. Freud's daughter was married to the Louis Tiffany's granddaughter. So she had 5 kids, and her husband went like crazy, and then they were together for like 50 years. And so she's even buried in the Freud corner with the Freud family, in their urns that Freud actually had styled after. It was given to him actually by a relative of Napoleon. So you get, you know, the influence of occultism, but the whole thought back to Greek culture and um, mysticism in that kind of way. But you know, even though Freud was an atheist, of course he loved classical Greek and Roman stuff. But yeah, really, I mean, fascinating, and just kind of, I'd say the classics are a lot of fun. Then you can kind of get into modern, psychology, but even ancient Greek psychology. Egregore is like the idea that thoughts could kind of build on the astral plane. So let's say somebody's angry, and then another person is angry in the same location. That kind of builds until it takes on this energy, like almost like a poltergeist. So if like Jung's theory of the collective unconsciousness, if something builds to that point where it just keeps getting fed that energy, then it has enough energy to basically have a kind of existence that affects the environment. Um, yeah, I mean, it's cool thought. So that's ancient Greek thoughts, and but I mean, definitely, today we would look at it and think that it's psychology theory. Get out the tea set. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I love offerings. Okay, my favorite part of cemeteries is, I mean, basically libations. Libations are your offerings. I know specifically it's like you know um, basically setting aside drinks and spitting drinks, for the dead. But basically, before I go to cemeteries, I generally will like open myself to to that the night before, maybe like 1 or 2 nights, and then I will be able to. I'll have all kinds of ideas about stuff to bring, like flowers, like specific stuff though too. Sometimes it is your normal grave kinds of offer stuff like, but I'll bring a range of things, flowers, sweets, a little tobacco, even a little bit of marijuana. If I just kind of have it, I'll just dream that you need to bring this, and then when I get to that place in the cemetery, I will know, or I'll even ask spirits to guide me to, you know, I'm looking for this, little toy cars for little kids, because but I'll just know what I need to bring. I never like specifically go, I'm going to bring the same grave, offerings every time. Tea is one of them. I did have you know, a woman come through, basically her memories, and just knew that she really liked tea. So I brought basically 2 tea sets and did what you think I did. I set out a blanket and I made a cup of tea for the spirit of this woman. So yeah, I try to be open in that sense, and there's always that kind of stuff. Coins, just like they do in ancient times, put a coin over the eyes or the mouth to pay for the passage through the underworld. But basically now a lot of that has to do with military veterans and different kinds of people leave a penny to basically show they stopped by to pay respects to a veteran's grave. So yeah, I mean, a lot of it's really beautiful, honestly, and it's personal. And I always bring stuff because I really know that, I mean, the spirits really do love offerings. Yeah. And I don't think it would make sense to just treat them as everybody here is going to get fake flowers, and hey, some ghosts actually really do like that, or shiny. They like shiny stuff. Yeah, if you don't have that, whatever. Like if you're not psychic, I guess. You just bring some basic stuff if that's something you ever want to try out. And, basic things like tea. And it would feel really crazy at first to just set out a tea set. But I'm pretty sure if you went and did that like a few times, it would feel more natural. And you probably would get a lot more interaction. In general, so speaking of cemeteries, because I do actually have friends for a range of reasons who like cemeteries, and some of them, they're empaths, and so I think that that's their like secret reason for being there. But really, it's like, oh, I came here to visit my grandma or whatever, take pictures, and so they'll basically like after a few times, everybody says they hear footsteps. That's just because when we walk near people's graves, we're waking them up, basically summoning them out of the ground. They can ignore us to some extent, but it is like if you were sleeping and somebody stands next to your bed, which is funny because ghosts do that to people. Like if your house is haunted, the chances are really high that while you sleep at night, the ghost will go into your room and take energy from you. Um, but when we visit them at the cemetery, we're basically it's kind of like waking them up. And so not they have a range of different reactions like people. So they'll generally follow, you know, my people. I've seen it time and time again. So it'll be like I'm hearing the footsteps, and I've seen that on camera many times. Not like where you can't see anything, but you can just hear the footsteps follow people time and time again throughout cemeteries, and then there's nobody, or all people are accounted for, and so and it's not like animals, it's it's human footsteps, but yeah, they're just doing that to see what you're doing, follow you around. You woke me up. What are you up to? um, you definitely want to take protection measures too. It's kind of like in a Ouija board. Say goodbye after you leave a cemetery. But yeah, that's kind of the whole whatever. And then another one that everybody kind of they'll say, wow, I'm starting to just feel sad or really sick, and I mean, it pretty much happens invariably, and I'm like, well, that's because you're experiencing some symptoms of what this person was feeling when they died or what they were going through. That's how they are going to, transcend to or move on, or more logically you know, go back into the ground, stay there, and be broken down by the earth. Um, yeah. So yeah, it's really, but sometimes that's what they're doing is they're just making you feel what it would be like, what they felt like when they died. So that's kind of one of the reasons it's important where, like, if it's like, I don't know, like if somebody's died in a location, to really kind of raise a vibration, because otherwise it just can, that really can linger, I would say. Yeah. So, it can be residual, or it can be um, basically a way of asking for help and trying to use your body. We as living people have electrons in our bodies, and that actually will help a spirit ground. But I don't recommend you invite, spirits to be inside of your body. But if you've ever had the experience in some way of a ghost asking you, can I come in? They're probably asking you if they can come into your body. And unless I would say you have, really good understanding and protection of protection magic, and Probably not. Otherwise, I mean, if there's no good intentions, then you're going to become possessed and whatever, so. But in this way, they do that. I mean, even though I'm protected, I'm there to understand. So I will become that, affected, and feel some of those things. But that happens to other people, really, who I think are either empaths or they're simply just, they've gone to cemeteries a few times, and I mean, they all tell me those same kinds of things. So I like to pay attention to how people, I don't tell people, hey, now that you're going to the cemetery, you're going to hear footsteps. And then, I don't want that kind of confirmation feedback loop bias kind of crap going on. But I do like to observe and see the commonalities. And then when people get kind of freaked out, I like to try to be there and say, well, like, you're not crazy. And this is my understanding of this, phenomenon. Have any, so I do have a question about, have I gotten any advice about my kids, from spirits? Yes, a little bit. So I'm trying to think of what kind of story I would like to go with for this one. I think the best one I can really explain is one I'll tell you now. Other than, I mean, I don't really get like too much. I still live a very mundane life, and I'm not constantly like, should I do this or that, and like asking spirits. So no, for me, it's more a personal kind of relationship with spirits, and that's intentional. But before I knew who my biological grandfather was, and I was trying to think of what to name one of my kids, I knew my biological grandfather as like the family friend. And even though I didn't believe in like the Christianity and all that kind of stuff, I was like way over that, still at that point. I just thought of that moment. There was that moment where I was like, I'm holding my stomach, and I'm going to bring this life forth. And what am I going to name it? Right. That's just like that, staring off into the abyss and thinking what, and he came to my mind, my biological grandfather, who I didn't, at the time didn't know. I thought, even though I really don't like religion, that was just such a comforting, such a strong, but it was such a strong impression. Like, it was very, very, vivid. And, I went through these vivid imagery, memories and visualizations of my time with him. And I ended up naming my kid after something that was very special to both of us. And I did it because it felt comforting. It felt like home. It just was, that's just right. That's what it is. So when I ended up talking to my husband, he was like, I'm thinking something along these kinds of lines. Then I mentioned what I thought. And he said, he goes, well, I really like that. This, very great. That's kind of what I was thinking of. But I specifically had that whole scenario that I just described to you happen. And then, I was just like, well, of course it makes sense. It's my grandfather, right? But at the time I didn't logically know, or, I didn't know that. So, but the thing is just, it was, I remember my dreams, I remember my dreams. I make time to basically go, on the astral plane, talk to spirits, see if I could help them, basically even just go there to learn. But this was like more vivid than dreams, and just like instinct. This is what, you know, you name that, and it's like, that's really crazy, and it's a very true story for me personally. So as far as a spirit, you know, I mean, not that I needed proof, but I mean, like, it's very powerful, and uh, you know, I have a range of emotions about all that, but I mean, definitely, that's a strong bond for sure. Can a spirit be at more than one place? So Will asked this, and it's a great question, Will. Oh, okay. So can a spirit be at more than one place? I mean, yes. Especially like when we talk about gods, demons, angels, that they're not, you know, us humans are kind of more one place at a time. I think that they can really sort of fragment and separate, um, and so be more than one, you know, one place at a time. And they manifest in different ways to different people. Like, for example, spirits of the Goetia might look, you know, they might look or feel more male to some people, or, you know, and then other people more feminine. But you know, you still get a lot of those core details of the abilities of the spirit the same. So and, you know, and I mean, it's right. We're individual people, so we're gonna look at it through our own, you know, eyes, lens, and apply that. And, you know, but it's still the same spirit. Um, but I do have some doppelganger stories. So I don't now, as far as that goes, I kind of think it's more along the lines of it's either, you know, it's either like a hormonal kind of poltergeist type of manifestation, or um, when transitions are happening between life and death. Um, Somebody can be dying. Let's say they're laying in bed, and you know, it's very that slow loss of senses and the lingering. Then that's more likely that somebody will see that person, their spirit, because they're not attached to their body, because they're not attached to their senses, and they haven't been for a while. So even though they're still alive, you can get that, you know, looking, you know, seeing that person, um, you know, and they'll be walking and whatever. So, but I mean, when I was about 9 to like 13, there's a few times when people would describe seeing me, and there's just no way it was there, you know. And I find it interesting that it was during that, you know, that time of coming to puberty, because that was, you know, was when I had those experiences of the poltergeist phenomena. So I do think that my energy, um, as a psychic, as a, you know, well, I'm a physical medium, just was so strong, and I definitely didn't know any techniques to control it, that I'm, you know, it's became, you know, like that manifestation of just briefly, you know, seeing me, glimpsing me, but I wasn't there. So I kind of think that that's what that was. But then, like I said, there's others, you know, a few other times I think that could apply. If somebody's been dying for a while, you might, you know, you're likely to kind of see them because they've just lost that attachment to their body already. But yeah, I mean, so, you know, it's like, you know, I mean, there was one time, like, I spent an hour talking to my parents, and I was like, no, I wasn't here. Like, you know, I wasn't here 5 minutes ago. Oh yeah, no, we saw you go running down, you know, because we had a bigger house. Saw you go into the kitchen and then go down the hall. So what do you mean you weren't here? I'm like, well, I don't. I mean, I definitely wasn't there. So, and then it was even, you know, some of my friends were like, what are you doing? Why did you leave? Um, and I'm like, what do you mean? One of the last ones I had like that was actually my high school. So I was like a drama kid, and everybody was like, oh, I told you to go out there and, you know, she's going to finish, doing your makeup and hair for the set out there. Like, you didn't tell me anything. I wasn't here. Yeah. And, like, no, we all saw you go, you know, that way down the hall. No one ever said that I talked. So it does really sound like an energetic type of projection, I would say. And then as I really became, really got into puberty and sort of, I think hormones stabilize, well, they do. Then a lot of that kind of calmed down. But yeah, I mean, the collective unconsciousness. To me, it's a lot of things, but I do think that in part it is man and all of our sort of, all that we have existed as so far. So, the as humans, whatever, evolve, these parts of us that were ancient are still going to be there. And I think there is those, basic things like the life and death instinct that are, going to be, and they manifest for us as people. I think everybody actually sees death as a manifestation, but it depends. The void is to me, I think that when we ask questions about where does the creative energy come from, why did ancient humans have such a spiritual connection? The answer is because they were grounded to the earth, and the earth vibrates, so basically like a heartbeat, and it pulsates, and that is energy, and that energy sends out. It translates to us receptive humans who are made of water. Water conducts electricity as thoughts. And at the beginning of mankind, it was about how to live, how to survive, and about the wisdom that all these other animals have. So that's why ancient people were like that. They were just already electrically connected to the earth. Okay. So they're able to, receive these messages, vibrations from the earth in dreams and thoughts. And that is, it's not that I don't think our ancestors somewhat went out and just ate random mushrooms, and, either you die or you get high or nothing, nothing happens, spaghetti mushrooms. But, and there of course is some of that knowledge, but I actually think that those pulsations that we register as thoughts that come from the earth's magnetic core is a consciousness that transcends culture and time, and is how to live in harmony with the earth. And it's also the creative kind of drive. So that is why it is very important to practice grounding, because I do think the earth is changing, in the sense that I've seen a lot of nature spirits that they will sometimes look human, but it's just, range of reasons, curiosity, or even trickery. But now that humans are treating the earth this way, and it's been a couple of generations, the earth is sending out messages of what translates to other animals that aren't human as messages of hurt them, kill them. It's because we're killing the earth, and it is a great neutralizer. The earth neutralizes electricity, solar winds. It protects us from that. Now, the earth's magnetic shield right now is still very protective, but the atmosphere is really fucked from stuff that humans do. And that makes for all these floodings and all these other problems that we're seeing. But the earth itself is, the great neutralizer. So, I love anthropology. So I actually have a bachelor's degree in history, Bachelor of Arts. And then anthropology, sociology, philosophy. I like all those things. And then, I do have my minor is in anthropology. And I was really attracted to that, like, early humans and their thoughts. And so it is really crazy. When I look at, spiritual answers, which I have for a lot of years, is that kind of idea. The more that I learn how just simple, it's really simple, it's our problems today are that we're just not connected because we have rubber shoes. So we're not naturally conducting our electricity back into the earth. So we're a machine, and we get corroded from the inside because we're not grounding that our electricity. That's why you get shocked by static electricity if you're not grounded, right? So I really enjoy looking at those kinds of things. And in fact, my biological grandfather, he was an engineer, and he worked for like a radio tower for a long, long time. And he would talk to me about electricity and, about, you get like, static electricity when your hair stands up on end, more like in the winter because it's dry. So, and he would say, well, start a humidifier if you notice that even everybody's a little crabby, or things are just off between people, because the water and the moisture in the air will just kind of help conduct everybody's electricity. It's true, it helps people think. So when you are grounded, your neurotransmitters will flow the way they're supposed to, and you'll be able to think way more clear. And I just am very fascinated with that aspect, of it. There's a guy named Clint Ober, and he is, basically the grandfather of grounding, and he goes over a lot of this. He almost died, but he was a cable guy, and so he almost died, and then he had some dreams that the earth was talking to him, and he wanted to try this idea. He thought, well, what is it doing to us humans not being grounded to the earth anymore, like we do all of our electronics? And he noticed he slept good because it actually connects us to our back up to our circadian rhythm with the earth. And so when you're grounded, you're going to sleep good. And he goes, that's the best fucking night of sleep I've had. And all these things, inflammation. But it is super important, right away it lowers blood pressure, your blood, viscosity. So blood can just, go flow more freely. So that means cells can move better through your body, your neurotransmitters. So think of what, when we talk about as a dark consciousness, think about what that does to us as people, not being grounded all the time. Because I'm a modern person. I can't fucking be grounded all the time. I do practice it. But here in our house, in our carpets, with our rubber shoes, we're not grounded. And it's fucking us. It is causing, cancer. People can't think right, and then you're getting high blood pressure. You can't sleep because you're not in tune with the earth. It's not a spiritual, like you're not in tune with the earth, like a hippie answer. It's that you're literally not conducting your electricity back into the earth. So, I thought about it in that way, and then for so many years, and that different perspective, I never forgot my talks with my biological grandfather. We talked a lot about ancient Greek and Roman classics in that, and I really hope that it's been a pleasure to explore such concepts. and know that, just know that, some rainy night long ago, whatever, he came to that realization in his own way about, and he almost lived to be 100 as well. The harmony, the electricity, about people. So I don't know, man. It really helps me a lot. You know what else? And then people who, you look at Victorian photographs of people back then, right? They were way more attractive than people nowadays. That's because, all this fucking processed plastic and that we all have shoved down our throats from It's Just Here Today, is making people ugly slowly. And also it's like, why, back in Victorian times, look through thousands of pictures. There's never been a single Victorian or Edwardian person photographed who's ever had acne. Acne is inflammation. But we didn't have rubber shoes back then. So everybody was grounded. They died from these diseases that the immune system was overwhelmed by, and that bacterial nature, like drinking contaminated water, even though you are grounded, it's just you coming into contact with that infection. But as far as being grounded, they were grounded. I've never seen a single photo of a Victorian person, and I've looked at thousands, and I bachelor's degree in history. There's no pimples because they're grounded. The answer, it's like the answers are right there. It's cool to just evolve in that kind of understanding. I really am humbled that I'm alive to experience it, really. So I'll answer a couple more, things, and then I got to split, but we'll do it again next month, and I'll definitely announce today. I could try to shoot for the weekends and stuff, but really I just have to kind of figure out my husband and kids' schedule, because I still am busy driving everybody fucking everywhere, cleaning up everybody, cooking, which is a huge part of me that I love. Absolutely. But, of course, it just means I have to figure out, like, everybody's shit. Yeah, animism, right. Totems, that's what I'm talking about. Primal man, looking at the wisdom of this specific animal, so that they emulate that, so that they can gain that understanding. And Forever Conscious Research Channel, that's fucking really neat name. And you're very welcome. Thank you for attending, Will Hermit. I love British people. Tea. I drink a lot of hot tea too. So anyway, yeah, just a lot of fun. Yeah, domestic alarm clocks. People, you know how you have the blue in your fucking alarm clocks, digital alarm clocks? That color of blue wakes the brain up. It's keeping your alarm, you got an alarm clock like that, put it down so that the lights aren't like just out in your room. You're meant to sleep in the dark, because it's kind of just one of those things where it's like, I think the mind is like, oh yes, I'm in the dark, I can't see anything. But your hearing is such a stronger sense, but because we all rely on what we see, you just feel that slight moment of uncomfortable in the dark. But the best sleep is in the dark. And then you have, the more lights you have on in your sleeping area, the better, the less quality sleep you're going to get, because your brain can't go into those really important deep states with light. Yeah, so that's my answer to that. You can get, I got a vibrating wrist kind of watch looking thing. And so that instead of, like a cell phone alarm, or even, flashing lights, and it's not like it fucking like jolts you awake or shocks you, but it wakes you up and it vibrates. So that way I can just kind of sleep near my husband and not and get ready to go get the kids ready. And it wakes me up. And then there's nobody having lights in the sleeping area, and it's not loud, and it, vibrates against your skin. It's like $20. Great idea. So it works out. That's a great alternative if you don't want to be bothered by lights. Wow. So, yeah, but, you know what? Occultists who really are thorough, who really even give a shit a little bit, I've noticed are such bookworms. And, you know, honestly, I mean, there are a sect of people who are kind of like just batshit nuts. Now I'm a little nuts because, that's, I think, part of the occult in that way, but maybe, but it's like, I think these are just, a lot of people are like seekers. And I really appreciate that kind of deepness in people. And I love, I'm like, I want to talk to you. I want to know what you know about this kind of stuff. Tell me what you think. I do, even though I kind of, tell you guys what I think about stuff. A lot of times when I talk to people, I really like to hear what they have to say first. And then if I could tell somebody's really struggling, or they maybe like tell me a story where they're like, well, I could tell that they need that reassurance, or somebody to go in with a story that they've had experienced something similar, then I'll go ahead and do that. But, you know, a good storyteller is a good listener. So anyway, I really appreciate all of y'all's company tonight, very, very much. And, I'll definitely announce the September live stream. So yeah, look for, in another day, I'm going to post a couple videos of actually kind of talking about some of the shit we talked about tonight, but, um, in a little bit more whatever story type of format. And then I'm going to do my big book list by the end of the week. So like by Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'll show like my hardcover paperbacks, like, some of my really cool, important grimoires, and then just other stuff that, I mean, I really think that if by chance you haven't heard of such a person or subject, then, hey, I can be the person to be like, you need to read Stalking the Wild Pendulum right now, and have your mind blown. So whatever. But yeah, always, if you want to send me book or reading, anything occult, psychology, theology, esoteric, just really like that, then, I'll definitely read it at some point. So, we can do that. But I'll talk to you guys later, and, everybody have a really chill month, and I'll see you guys on, my video comments. Talk to you later.